Welcome to AskReddit is Fun. In today's video, we're facing deeply upsetting facts. Some of these change my perspective on a few things in life. Others are quite disturbing, the longer you think about it. Buckle up and enjoy the video. I have 5 siblings. One of us will attend 5 funerals. Another one of us will attend none. In the words of Kevin Von Erich, I used to have 5 brothers. Now, I'm not even a brother. The crew of the doomed Space Shuttle Challenger didn't die instantly, but likely were alive and aware of everything up until the crew capsule hit the water at 207 miles per hour. This is pretty horrifying. If I recall correctly, at least one respirator was activated, and there were switches thrown that could not have been moved without human interaction. Assuredly, there was at least one astronaut alive after the O-ring failure. There may be as many as 30 to 50 active serial killers in the US, according to the FBI. You sometimes hear that people go missing, never to be found, right? Here's some news. Some serial killers are good at their hobby and are never detected or caught. The first firefighter killed responding to the 9/11 attacks was struck dead in the courtyard by a falling body. 2 people killed simultaneously. One on his way in, the other on his way out. Wow, that's the saddest thing I've read in a while. Those poor people. There are as many as 100,000 active missing person cases in the US at any given time. Some of these missing persons are undiscovered bodies. Some are people living among us under a different identity, hoping to never be found. There are approximately 20 to 30 million slaves in the world today. CPR only works 7% of the time outside of a hospital environment. 100% of the time in Hollywood, though. You may be bleeding internally right now. You might not even feel it until it's too late. This one was the worst for me. I am now terrified. If you are a certain distance from a nuclear explosion, you won't be killed immediately, but instead, you'll get 3rd-degree burns throughout your entire body. This kills your nerves so fast that it's completely painless. In John Hersey's account, Hiroshima, he talks about trying to lift people into a boat and having the skin on their hands and arms just slide off like gloves. When my parents were born, there were only 2.5 billion or so people on the planet. Not even one lifetime has gone by, and it's already hit 7.6. Your parents had way too much sex. There are a huge amount of illnesses that aren't curable or even treatable. We have this idea that we go to a doctor to find out what's wrong with us, and then they fix it. There are many illnesses that many doctors throw up their hands because they don't even know what's causing them to be unwell. And people are often ill for years, or life. The #1 contributor to microplastics in water is washing fabrics like polyesters and acrylic. Every time you wash your clothes, a ton of little fibers get washed into the water. Think of the lint left in a dryer. It's similar. Natural fibers break down harmlessly. Plastic fibers get into the ecosystem, and into seafood and drinking water, and then they get into us. The side effects of this are only starting to be understood, but it's all looking quite bad. I was doing a presentation on this and realized the study of this stuff didn't even begin until about 20 years ago. Crazy. Also, in the 80s, SFA area had to bring in a professor from Berkeley to explain what ecology was to a council. Every picture you pose for could be the one used in your obituary. One of these things will happen. Someone will find your dead body. Someone will watch you die, or your dead body will never be found. Not my problem in all cases, really. If you become an astronaut and are in the ISS when the apocalyptic asteroid hits, you could be among the last few humans left alive, with limited oxygen supply, limited food supplies, and no external assistance in returning home or surviving. There's a chapter in World War Z about this. Well, not asteroid, but apocalyptic zombies. In all likelihood, you will attend your best friend's funeral, or they will attend yours. Or you both die at about the same time, or you drift apart from each other. Or you can't afford because you're in jail for killing her for sleeping with your spouse. Frick you, Brittany. There was a young office worker in the second tower hit on 9/11. He took the elevator to the lobby, but was convinced by the security guard to return to his office, which he did. The second plane hit, so he was trapped in his office with no escape. There's even a recording of him speaking to his father on the phone, lamenting the fact he should have just left and not listened to the security guard. He died. I worked in Lower Manhattan during 9/11, and still do. There are a large contingent of office workers who now go downstairs during an alarm regardless of what security might say, myself included. About 200 dead bodies are still on Mount Everest, but it's more effort and risk than it's worth to retrieve them. Some of them serve as progress markers for other climbers. It's like a human high score table. You are 6 minutes away from death. Breathing resets this clock. Unsubscribe. Your eyelashes are full of microscopic 8-legged eyelash mites. They live, lay eggs, and reproduce in your eyelashes. Maybe I have friends after all. More than 7,500 Americans remain unaccounted for from the Korean War. A blue whale has veins so large, you could swim inside of them. Nothing like a good old swim inside of a meat tunnel. We've all swam through at least one meat tunnel, and didn't need a whale to do it. Since 2012, the US military has lost more soldiers to suicide than to combat or incidents. Ants outnumber people by about 1,000,000 to 1. In Wyoming, cows outnumber people 5 to 1. If they staged a revolution, game over. There will come a time, in the not too distant future, that someone will think of you for a final time, before everything you feel like you've accomplished in your life is lost in time for the whole of eternity. That's what statues are for. According to the current cosmological models, the universe is 70% dark energy, 25% dark matter, and just 5% baryonic matter. The stuff you and I and the stars and other things we think we know are made of. We really have no idea what dark matter or dark energy even are, so we're more or less an impurity and a something we barely even comprehend. It's the elder gods, and we're just the detritus flung off their dreaming world minds. That even if you try your absolute hardest, sometimes things just straight up can't go your way, and that's just the way the world is. Love someone? Well, it doesn't matter unless they love you back. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. A brain aneurysm can happen at any moment, to any living healthy person. It will cause instantaneous death, and also has nearly no prior symptoms for detection, so you could just breathe your last breath at any moment in your life, and there's nothing to warn you of it. It's my third biggest fear. Statistically, about 10 people who commented here won't make it to Christmas. This is the only comment that fricked me up. If Wonder Years were made today, it covered 1997 to 2002. If that 70s show were made today, it'd be called That 90s Show. If some major catastrophe were to strike and effectively reset civilization, most of our knowledge would be lost or unrecoverable to future archaeologists, i.e., much harder to preserve or decipher CDs and drives than stone tablets or pottery. A nuclear bomb was accidentally dropped over South Carolina in 1958. Would have made the fat man dropped on Nagasaki look like a firecracker and completely changed US history if it detonated. Then, that happened again over North Carolina in 1961. Except this time, it was 2 bombs. One of the North Carolina bombs deployed its parachute and had its trigger mechanisms engaged. Only one low-voltage trigger kept it from detonating upon land. In Japan, most phone cameras make shutter sounds, even when in silent mode, to prevent upskirt pictures from being taken without consent. The fact that it was enough of an issue that it needed to be taken such actions against it is insane. In Japan, most photo cameras make shutter sounds, even when in silent mode, to prevent upskirt photos from being taken without consent. From what I recall, South Korea was the same way when I lived there a few years back. I asked my friends how to turn off the annoying shutter sound, and they seemed shocked that it was even an option in other countries. One day, you and all your childhood friends went out to play for the last time, and none of you realized. For some reason, this made me feel the most sad. I almost wanted to tear up. In 1933, a doctor named Carl Tanzler raided the tomb of a female patient with whom he'd become obsessed and stole her body. He lived with the corpse for 7 years. As the body fell apart, he attached the corpse's bones together with wire, coat hangers, and fitted the face with glassy eyes. He was only caught when someone saw him dancing with the corpse in front of an open window. It's worth noting that he raided the tomb several years after her death, and that there was a paper tube inserted in her groin. He might have been freaking that rotted corpse. You could have contracted rabies 6 years ago, and you might not even know about it until December 2018. And by then, it will be too late. CJV, human mad cow disease from eating contaminated meat, doesn't show symptoms for decades. Decades. I am in this group of US citizens that cannot donate blood because I lived in the UK in the 80s. There is no test to confirm if you're infected. I guess, one day, you'll just slowly start to lose your mind. There's nothing anyone can do about it. I really hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I upload new videos every day. Until then, check out another video if you like.